Welcome back. This is the Alchemist Nation podcast. My name is Walter Amarello. This is a real estate podcast where we get to travel all across the country and talk to successful real estate investors who have done well for themselves and they want to give back. Today on the show, we've got Tim Bratz. Tim, welcome to the show.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother. It's good to have you here. So you have been, we were just talking a little bit, you came from the single family world and you shifted into the syndication world. And when I said you're kind of a pro in syndication, your first response was, well, sort of, but I've never read a book. I never took a course. So how'd you get into syndication?
Dude, so I come from the single family world, like you mentioned. I've wholesaled houses, I flipped houses, I have had a turnkey rental business, built up a management company, I've done everything. I've gotten vacation rentals, I have office buildings, I have mixed use buildings, I have self-storage, but my bread and butter is apartment buildings. So as I'm sitting here right now, I have 4,288 units and 90% of that is apartments. And so, dude, I bought my first apartment on accident. In 2012, had private money. The market was at pretty much, bottom of the barrel pricing. And I came across an 8-unit building for $30,000 in Cleveland, Ohio. C-class area, right? Needed some work, but I was like, dude, I can't pass this thing up. So got some private money, bought this 8-unit, put another 50 G's into it. So I was all in for about $10,000 a door, and it was occupiable. And we were renting it out for whatever, like on average, $500 a unit. And so it was like a 34%, 35% cap rate. I was like, dude, this is insane. And so I just did it again, right? Bought another 8-unit, bought a 14-unit, bought a 23-unit, and I just used private money and we just used cash. We bought everything with cash early on. Not my cash. It was other people's cash. It was private money. And dude, I actually gave up just on an equity split at not knowing syndication, but I gave up about 67% of all those deals to my private money lenders. And it was one guy or two guys, they were brothers. And they invested with me. I had an exclusive relationship with them. And we bought about, I don't know, we flipped a whole bunch of stuff too, but we ended up over the course of 3 years, had a portfolio of about 140 doors that we owned just with their cash and me doing 1031s and just kind of trading up. That partnership ended up separating and we ended up going our separate ways in 2015. And I started doing my own thing. So built up the turnkey business again, built a management company, and started buying apartment buildings. And I didn't really know how to structure it. I just come from the single family world. And the way that I always flipped houses was I got to be all in for 65% of the after repair value. Yep. And so what I ended up doing was I structured apartment buildings the same way. So instead of a $100,000 house, now we buy $1 million apartment building, we'd be all in for 650 grand. Instead of selling it though, what our structure was essentially the BRRRR method: buy, renovate, rent, refinance. And so we go to the bank and we get a new loan on it at a 70 or 75% LTV. So they give us on $1 million loan, 750 grand. We paid back our private money of 650 and we put $100,000 of non-taxable refi proceeds in our pocket. And then we do it again. And then I got into kind of syndication. But because we were, one, able to find amazing deals, and two, able to operate those amazing deals, renovate them, project manage, property manage, and create so much value in such a short amount of time, we were able to refinance our properties in 12 to 24 months on average before COVID. COVID has delayed things, obviously, but pre-COVID, we're flipping apartment buildings in less than 24 months and cycling our investors' money back to them. So we would pay them a fixed return and then pay them back in 24 months. And then we kick them, I don't know, somewhere between 15 to 30% equity in the deal forever. And then that left somewhere between 70 to 85% of the equity for the general partners and the operating partners, who were the ones who found the deal and took on all the work, and we're going to be managing it for the next 20, 30 years, however long we own it. And so that's how I structure, man.
Yeah, it's totally a different way to structure. And I without getting in trouble with the SEC, what were you paying those investors for? Like, I don't want to talk about future or what you do now, but previously, what were you paying your investors? Was it monthly? Was it, hey, at the end of the project, or once we do the refinance, we'll give you this amount? How did you have that structure? And what was the amount? Were you doing 8%, 12%, 14%? What was the cost of money?
Yeah, great question. And I think it goes a little bit deeper. Like, you got to realize, in a private lender's mind, there's two ways for them to make money. One is usually a debt loan where they earn a fixed return on their investment. They lend you the money at 10%, you pay them 10%, they get their money back. There's no upside potential, there's no downside risk, right? Then the other kind of loan that a private lender can make is an equity loan, which is I'm investing in the project. If we get rich together. If we lose together, and there's no predictable return. What I found is, and I come from the turnkey space, right? And a lot of the turnkey buyers wanted the best of both worlds, and turnkey offers that. So turnkey is, I don't want to do any work, right? But I want predictable cash flow and I want equity upside. So realizing that, when I got into apartments, I just took those same investors and I turned them into private money lenders on my syndication deals. And I said, hey, you don't have to do any work. I'm going to pay you a 10% pref, regardless of the property's performance, which most people don't do that. Right. And I'm going to give you some equity in the deal forever. Now, it's not 70% of the deal because I got to find off-market deals. They're heavy lifts. Typically, they take a lot of work to create the appreciation. And I'm cycling your money out every 24 months. But you're going to keep 25% of the deal forever. And dude, the investors loved it. Right. And here's what I realized. And I didn't even realize this early on, but like if they invested in one traditional syndication, they might own 70% of that deal, but they're not going to get their money back for 5 to 7 years. And they typically only get it back if the property sells. I'm refinancing them, giving their money back every 2 years. And we can get into 3 deals in the same time frame. And if they have 25% in 3 different deals and all their money back, they still own the assets and they still have the same 75% ownership. Right?
Exactly.
And they earned a fixed return on their money. So it's a better way if you're doing heavy value add deals, right? If you're buying stabilized stuff, traditional syndication is probably better.
Right. And what they're getting is their liquidity back, right? They're getting their liquidity back the entire time. They still have ownership, but now they got liquidity, right? Yep. So you're able to, like, you're basically just high-fiving them and saying, hey, thank you for being there for me in the beginning. I got you for life. Yep. And here's your money, right? Like, exactly. Here you go.
Exactly. It's a sweet, dude, it's a smoking deal for them. And it's a good deal for me because the first thing that they ask me is like, let's roll into another one, right? So I can take the same money. Like, I don't know, we have $50, $60 million in private money out there right now.
Right.
All mom and pop. Like I don't have any institutional equity. But I just need to cycle through it every 24 to 36 months. I don't have to go out and keep on raising money all the time because I can go to my same investors and just keep on recycling their capital. So it makes my life easier and my team can just focus on operations and finding deals now.
So when you say 50, 60 million, how many people is that? How many investors do you have?
We got a few hundred. I'd say probably, we have people anywhere from 50 grand, which we don't take 50 grand anymore. That was some early deals.
Right.
Up to people, I got a handful, maybe a dozen people with over $1 million with me. Right. I probably have another dozen people with over 500 grand with me. And then I have hundreds of people with $100,000 to $400,000 with me.
That range. And that didn't happen overnight.
No,
what was your biggest, do you think, your biggest accomplishment in raising capital? At what point did you say, wow, this is the one thing I have to do to make sure the capital keeps coming through, that people trust what I'm doing and that you're connecting with the right people who did have the money to invest?
Yeah, I think it's understanding what investors are looking for and the questions that the investor's asking them, right? Like they're asking themselves 3 questions. 1, what is the asset? Real estate's an easy asset. Real estate, they see real estate, they're familiar with real estate, they probably own their own home. So like real estate's something easy to get people to lend money on, right? Like Bitcoin, a little bit harder, right? Startup company, a little bit tougher. Yeah. So real estate's pretty easy though. Number 2 is the return. What is the return on investment? Does the reward outweigh the risk? And is it good enough of a return? They're also looking at what other options do they have, right? They might have different options where they can earn a better return, even though the reward does outweigh the risk. So you got to understand that. But the most important thing, dude, is this one, which I think you kind of hit on, which is the borrower, right? So it's the asset, it's the return, and then it's the borrower. And the question that they're asking themselves is, does Gwalter have the fortitude to repay me this money? If shit hits the fan, when shit hits the fan, is he the type of guy who's going to go and work 3rd shift at friggin' Taco Bell if he has to in order to make sure that I get my money back? And if you can convey that, now, first of all, you got to be that type of person. You got to be like,
it's got to be true.
Have that reputation, right? Like I have done that. I have gone 2 properties where the pipes froze in the middle of the night on a Saturday. And I went to Walmart and picked up all the shit, heaters and everything to go drop it off to all the tenants because they didn't have any boiler heat. And dude, I've been through all of it. Right.
Yeah.
And
we've been there.
I get things done, and my lenders know that I will get things done, and I'm not too good to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty. And we always put, them first. So, dude, are there deals that go long? Absolutely. Every single real estate deal goes long, right?
Yeah.
Do they not all play out exactly how you want it to? No,
Sure.
Of course not. But we communicate, we tell them the whole time. They're still happy with the returns. They're still solid. Then there's some of them that are home runs that we thought were going to be base hits. So are you conveying that type of character to your investors though? If you can convey that you get things done, and I don't know if that's something that, I don't know, maybe some of these Facebook all-stars can schmooze their way through some of it, but I think that they get exposed and spun out pretty quickly. And I don't think anything is a better indicator of that than past performance and just doing the right thing. And you start out small with an investor and they invest 25 or 50 or 100 grand with you before they open up the vaults. And you have to perform on those smaller deals first.
I like that. When we teach the classes for how to get the money, like how to raise capital, the biggest thing I say is like, get a decent credit score, right? Like if you can't pay back somebody you borrowed money from, you don't deserve to borrow more money from from somebody else, right? Like go solve all your other problems and be somebody who could pay your debts, and get excited about taking out loans. I think that what you're getting at is you like to make your investors money, right? Like that's plain and simple. Your mission is I want to make these people wealthier. I want to make them richer. And you're probably at this point buying deals because your investors want you to buy deals. You're probably over buying them for yourself. It's just like, hey, look, the guys need me to go buy more. I'm going to go buy more, right? Like,
yeah, we won't force any deals. That's for sure. I have been down that road where they're like, we got money. Just go find something. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, they got money. Let's go buy something, dude.
Where should do it?
Dude, that's what gets you to some trouble though. So you got to be careful on that stuff. So I tell them, and it builds my character because of it. I'm like, dude, there's not a good deal out there. I'm not going to put your money into some shitty deal just because you want me to go place money. It's not going to happen.
You stick to the fundamentals. You hold your ground.
Money on a deal. It's going to ruin our relationship. And dude, it builds more trust and credibility in me by having those candid conversations.
Yeah, Tim, I love your energy. I love your mindset. You're embracing the fact that just doing the right job the right way and making sure everybody wins money, and you're not holding all the capital to yourself. Like what you really are is like, hey, like if I can make you money, I'm going to make you money. If it's not the right deal for you, no big deal. Yeah. And you've qualified your investors over time. And I like that you've, graduated out of the 50,000 range. Some of my coaches said, yeah, it's not worth my time. Like, but in the beginning you take 25, you take 50, whatever to get the deal done. But, when we found the same thing, like it just makes sense to slowly graduate up and still be working with the same investors you've helped them get to that level. You've helped them get extra capital and free up some capital for them. So it makes sense that you hold a lot of those same relationships as they grow.
Yep. And what I'll tell you, man, is like, and this isn't against anybody who doesn't have millions of dollars to put into real estate, but the people who do have millions of dollars that have the most money with me, call me the least.
They're the easiest.
It's so weird because, dude, they're too busy. They got their own businesses. They're running and they're busy generating revenue and making millions of dollars. And they don't call me. They don't bitch. They don't complain. They're happy with their returns all the time. They don't care if it takes longer. If it gets paid back sooner, they just want me to roll it forward, right? Like it's easy conversations with them. The people who are the biggest pain are, dude, when you take somebody's last $50,000, guess what, man? They're going to call you every single week asking about the deal. And that takes you out from doing the actual activity and operating the deal. So like, don't do that, right? Like make sure it's somebody who's got the capital and set proper expectations on the front end right now. There's a lot of money out there, a lot more money than there are deals. And so you don't need to take somebody's pain in the ass money.
I like that, Tim. And, I was in a mastermind this weekend and I told them, I was like, look, a lot of my communities, asking to get in these deals. And it's like, dude, like, I just financially don't think they're there yet. And I like the people. I love my community. And I love everybody who invests and has they take training and they listen to this podcast. Right? I love you guys. But sometimes financially you're not there yet. And, Tim, like what you said is, they can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, not because their money isn't any different or it isn't the same good money. It's just that mentally they're not ready to have trust somebody else with their money.
Yeah.
And like you got to get over that first. We've all been through it, in the beginning, like if you only have 50,000, it doesn't make sense to go put 50,000 with somebody else's project, right? You should go turn and make more make a few more of those 50,000s. So Tim,
for sure.
what are you looking at for 2021? What are you looking at for yourself? What do you see for yourself, in the next, we'll say 8 months, 10 months?
Yeah, man. Great question. This year, I think everybody's always like in go, go, go mode. And usually I am. This year's a little bit different. I think, COVID kind of smacked everybody. I'd gone on a buying spree in 2019. I picked up 2,000 doors in 2019. And then all of a sudden COVID hit, and we were through like most of the renovations, but the lease up was not there. And so I was like, dude, like everybody, I was like, dude, let's get operations dialed in. Let's not, I mean, shoot, I still bought 1,000 doors last year, but it wasn't like a terror like I went on in 2019. And we really focused on operations and stabilizing our portfolio. And, got to a point where early on, dude, like I get people who ask me like, how do I get started in apartments? And, I want to wait for a 100-unit building. And I'm like, dude, that's not how you do it, right? If you come across a 100-unit building, great. You can call Walter or me or whoever in your community and have them help you take that deal down. But dude, if you've never done a deal, you're not going to have a 100-unit building fall in your lap, right? And so you got to organically grow the portfolio. So you got to buy a 5-unit, you got to buy a 15-unit, you got to buy a 50-unit before you get into a 150 units or 500 units. And so like I understood that because you got to build your balance sheet, you got to build your reputation, you got to build your resume. And for me, I went through that phase. And so I bought a lot of smaller buildings that were under 100 units that got me to where I am today. They've served their purpose, but now they're a little bit too management intensive now, right?
Yeah.
I don't have on-site management at them because they're too small. That doesn't justify it. So I'm selling off everything that I have under 100 units and everything that's in more of like a C plus kind of an area. I'm hanging on all my B and all my A properties. So it's about half of my portfolio that I'm in the process of selling off right now. Most of it's under contract.
Tim, I'm buying. All right. Just so you know, I'm buying.
All right. Hit me up afterwards. I got a couple more that are left that I just haven't put on the market yet. And so I'm moving a couple of my apartment buildings that are just, and some of them are over 100 units, but they're just more C plus kind of areas, a little bit more management intensive. And for where I am in my life and in my business and the access to opportunities that I have, I want to kind of shed some skin there and trim some fat and then just focus on really big opportunities. So like I have a deal right now that's under contract. It's a $70 million deal. It's the biggest single deal I've ever taken down. So like that's exciting. And I'm taking a step back essentially to make many leaps forward. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit my goal. I wanted to pick up 4,000 doors this year, but I'm trying to sell like 2,000 right now. And I don't know if they're going to sell soon enough in the year. I don't think it's going to happen until April, May that we actually close. And I don't know, but I'll pick up another at least 2,000 to 3,000 this year, and we'll go on a tear for 5,000 doors next year.
Yeah, that's kind of how real estate's always been for me. I set an annual goal, but then it drags into the next year. Yeah, it's like, well, the closings got delayed. This one didn't sell in time, and you drag 3, 4, 6 months into the next year. But you set the goal anyway. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't hit it. So
it'll be 2 years, right?
Yeah,
I think, dude, and this is true for all of us. Is we all overestimate what we can accomplish in the next 12 months.
Yeah,
we all grossly underestimate what you can do in 3 to 5 years. So everything you do. Like the people in your group who are watching this right now, dude, I'm talking to you guys. You need to make a commitment to be here for the next 3 to 5 years minimum. You should not be here saying, hey, I'm going to try it out for a few months or for 12 months. You can't plant, like the first year is just planting seeds. It's developing relationships. It's getting to know everybody, right? Like year 2, guess what? Now you got to cultivate all of it. Now you got to actually sun it and water it and feed it and fertilize it. It's not until year 3 that you start actually having a harvest, and year 4 and 5 you start consuming from the harvest, right? Like it's 3 to 5 years is the game plan that you got to commit to this stuff. But I promise you, your mind will be blown of what you can accomplish in 3 to 5 years if you stick with it. But you just got to promise to be here 3 to 5 years from now.
Yeah, and to get to the level you're at, you're talking 7, 10, 15 years. Like you got to stay committed, keep going. Tim, how long have you been doing this? What year did you buy your first real estate property?
2009, I bought my first property. So it's been about, was it 11 and a half years?
11 and a half years. and you've been going this entire time. I'm sure plenty of times you said, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should jump out, right? Get the entrepreneurial seizure. Maybe you could do something else. Does that happen to you?
Every time I do, I lose money and I lose time.
Yes.
Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. The grass is not greener. It's just different. And it takes a boatload of watering, right? Like you gotta go and do a lot of work to get it looking how you want. The same amount of work that it was on this side of the fence. Like, dude, just put your head down. We all know real estate works, guys. Like this is not an experiment. It's not Bitcoin. It's not e-commerce stores. It's not selling friggin' baseball cards. It's not, some tech startup. It's real estate. Since the beginning of civilization, wealth has been measured in land ownership. So like it works. Now you just got to push your head down. Don't look left. Don't look right. Just do the work, right? Go out and find deals. Go out and raise money. And just consistently be refining your operations. If you're doing those three things, those are the only three things that matter in real estate. Those are the revenue generating activities.
Oh, I love it because at the end of the podcast, I always ask, hey, what are the 3 pieces of advice you'd give a 20-year-old self? Like if you go back to 20-year-old Tim and give that advice. That question's coming up, but you kind of just preluded to it. I love it. So Tim, if somebody wanted to help you out, like everybody's got an ask, everybody's got something they're looking for. If somebody was listening to this and said, okay, like, Tim wants this, I'll go and hunt for it. What would be the biggest thing you could get from somebody, for 2021?
Oh man, that's a good question. Like our thing right now is just, we're trying to get our portfolio to the finish line. Essentially now we're going to be sourcing some big deals. I'm looking for bigger deals, $20 million and bigger per deal. Light value add, 80 to 90% occupancy, has some room to bump up rents, just need some cosmetic updating. Apartment buildings that are typically, that's going to be somewhere in the 200 units, and it doesn't have to be a single complex, but it could be 2 100 units next door to each other or something like that, but it needs some scale. But we're just looking to get into some bigger stuff. We're going to launch our fund when all of our investors get money back from these deals. We're going to put some capital there, and one of the things we're going to be doing is just kind of creating our own investment fund and probably bringing in some outside debt as well to invest in our fund. And so, typically if you have $50 million, you can go to a bank and they'll give you a line of credit for another $50 million.
Right.
And, now you got $100 million of buying power for down payment. So, be looking for lenders like that. I don't know if there's anybody in your community that has something like that, but I don't know. That's kind of off the top of my head. Those are the two short-term things that I'm looking for.
And if nothing else, 3-5 years from now, you're going to be still doing the same thing. Fair to say, Tim, what do you see the next 10 years for yourself?
Yeah. So I used to set goals that were like 20, 30 years out. Like, here's where I wanted to be. And it changes so much in 5 years, that I just don't do goals out longer than 5 years anymore. So, like short-term or like midterm 5-year goal is we want a $2 billion portfolio. I want $1 billion in the next 24 months. I think it's going to take 36, but then we'll be able to get the second billion pretty quick, I think, after that. So $2 billion portfolio. And then I don't know if I'm going to keep my head down on real estate. Probably my team will. They'll probably keep on growing and doing that side of things. I think probably an investment fund. I really like the fund part. I really like coaching and mentoring and like the consulting aspect of it. That gives me like the most fulfillment personally. And so, when you're at that level monetarily, now it's more about fulfillment anyways. And I'll probably focus a little bit more on that side of things. I'll probably, I also like the idea of flipping businesses and rolling up companies. Buying, like, you can buy a $20 million building and you can make it worth $25 million, but you can buy a $20 million business and make it $100 million in the same amount of time. And so, I have real estate knowledge, but really I'm a business guy, right? I can take any business. I know the same fundamentals transcend business and industry. And I got the right teams and people and process and all that stuff that I can go into pretty much any company and then potentially do a roll up on those, put them all together, sell it all off. And I don't know.
Yeah, man, you're an entrepreneur, bro. Like whatever you do after this, it'll be building a business.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to go sit on a beach, right? Like,
no, you don't have it in you, right?
I mean, it sounds cool here's the thing. I live at the beach, right? I don't know if you guys can see, but the beach is right there. So like, you take a week off. Like when I go on vacation, man, I'm like spastic. Like I gotta get back to work,
Yeah.
the energy, it's just, I don't know. I need discipline. I need regimen. I need,
Goals.
I like to have the opportunity to change my schedule any way that I want, but I actually want a regimented schedule, right? Like that's what I actually thrive doing. So yeah, I mean, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, dude, $2 billion portfolio, probably launch, I want to get $1 billion fund going and just be like an equity fund just to invest with other great operators around the country, students of mine, stuff like that. So I think those are the kind of the two short-term 5-year goals.
Tim, I like it. And if somebody wants to learn more about you, find out more about your coaching or some of the deals you're doing, what's the easiest contact information for them to go to and find more about you?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Just hit me up on social media. Hit me up on Facebook or on Instagram at Tim Bratz. Tim Bratz on Facebook. So yeah, just connect with me there. Shoot me a message. If you guys, anything that I can help with, any resources I can connect you guys with, happy to help out any way that I can. And yeah, man, this is great. You've been asking some really good questions.
Thank you, brother. And your answers are exactly what people want to hear, right? It's like real stuff. This is truth. This is how people can build and get to the next level. And I think that one of the secrets to raising capital, one of the secrets of finding great partners is finding out what they want. What are their goals? And now that not just me, but the community knows what you're looking to create, I can go and hunt and try to find what you're looking for. And, we've got an audience that can do the same. So Tim, we're looking for $2 billion for you, brother, like $2 billion worth of assets. And if you got some real estate to sell, I'm going to shoot you a message right after this and see what we can get from you. See if there's anything we can put a deal together on. But if you go back to 20-year-old Tim, and before you had all this, before you had built it all, what 3 pieces of advice could you give yourself to get to where you are faster and happier?
Yeah, man, that's a fantastic question. I would, I would say these 3 things. Well, it's kind of 3 things, but one is work harder on yourself than you do in your business.
Yeah,
dude, 80% of it is here. 20% is then the activity, right? So like read the books, attend the webinars, attend the seminars. That leads me to number 2, which is join a mastermind. So like what you're doing is, dude, that is what took me to the next level. I had steady growth before I joined a mastermind. When I joined a mastermind back in 2015, my growth went like this, dude. The trajectory was insane. And having a mentor is cool, but really having a community is where it's at, because there's going to be certain people that you lean on. Your mentor might be, Donald Trump. Hey, Donald Trump I might take financial advice from him, but dude, I'm not going to take marital advice from him, right? Like,
right.
Like, there's certain things
or
that
political advice,
yeah, that certain individuals can bring, but not all of them have necessarily the whole package. And so, being in a community where you can lean on, this guy over here because he's got his health dialed in and a big business, or this lady over here who's got an amazing relationship, her and her husband who work together. Like, I was thinking about bringing my wife into a business and maybe I'll talk to them about it. Like, there's multiple mentors depending on the season that you're in your life. And so that's why I really like mastermind groups. So work hard on yourself. Number 2, join a mastermind, right? Mastermind is like, it's like teaching you how to fish instead of giving you a fish, right? It's teaching you, hey, it's all the resources you need, all the connections you need, anything you need. And as you grow, this goes back to the 3 to 5 year commitment on any given mastermind that you join. As you grow, you think, if I can get to the next level, dude, I'm there. It's not the case, dude. If I get to the next level, there's another level of problems that come with that. And that's why you need to be in a mastermind, because they're going to help you punch through every single time you face a glass ceiling. That's what helped give me quantum leaps forward. So number 1, work harder on yourself than you do on your job or in your business. Number 2, join a mastermind. Number 3, focus on the revenue generating activities. Focus on the shit that matters. Focus on the revenue generating activities. Revenue solves all problems, guys. Revenue, you can hire whoever you need if you have revenue, right? You can buy whatever you want if you have revenue. You can show investors that you have money coming in if you have revenue. Like, revenue solves all problems. If you have revenue, you can hire an attorney for a lawsuit that you just got sued on from a slip and fall. Like, revenue solves all problems. So if you focus on the stuff that generates revenue, which is sourcing deals, sourcing capital, and just consistently refining your operations, everything else works and falls into place.
Man, that's gold. That is absolute fire. Tim Bratz, you have the abundance mindset. You're an educator. You're a doer, more importantly. And so I suggest all the time that don't take advice from people who talk about things. Take advice from people who are doing things. You're actively doing it, which is why it makes sense for you to raise capital. It makes sense for you to teach. You've got the alchemist mindset, man. You are an alchemist. You're building people. You're providing, income and resources for other people. So I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here. You have some awesome questions. Really, thank you.
Excellent. Tim, cheers to your success, my friend. When you have a choice, I always work with the best. Thank you, brother.